We're going to go to our reporter, Drew Petrimoulx, who is in Washington, D.C. Now, Drew, we know Congressman Cohen of Memphis and Cooper of Nashville both agree the federal schedule change is important. So are you hearing that there is any change, any push to get this accomplished in Congress?
Well, it's interesting. If you talk to marijuana proponents, they think 2019 is going to be a big year for them. There are more and more Republicans who have traditionally been less likely to support any kind of legalization. More and more Republicans are representing states both where it's legal. I was just jotting down some notes. Right now, there are 10 states where marijuana is fully legal. That's 4 Republican governors, or 3 Republican governors and 4 Republican senators. There are 33 states where where marijuana is legal for medical reasons. That represents almost 2/3 of the entire House of Representatives. So you're talking about a vast number of lawmakers that, whether they like it or not, federal lawmakers, the states have acted. So there's this situation where you have this discrepancy. One of your guests was talking about lawmakers in Tennessee being afraid of the federal government. I mean, the fact is that it is illegal on the federal level, but states are bucking the federal government and going their own way. But you saw something interesting recently in the confirmation hearing of William Barr. He's the new nominee to lead the Justice Department from President Trump. And basically what he said is he's going to take a hands-off approach. He's going to let states do what they want to do. That's a reversal from what Jeff Sessions, his predecessor, said. So basically what the administration is telling states is go ahead and pass laws that either legalize medical marijuana or make it fully legal, and the federal government's going to take a hands-off approach. Now, that might mean that there's less of an appetite for Congress to act immediately, but the more and more states that you see that pass this, especially when you start to have Republicans representing them, you get a bipartisan coalition here and an appetite for change.
Drew Petrimoulx in Washington, thanks for your insight. Welcome back to our town hall meeting on weed. Let's check back in with Drew Petrimoulx in our Washington, D.C. bureau. And Drew, we heard President Trump say he favors medical marijuana being legalized, but wants it to be a state's issue. You've talked with Senator Blackburn, with Congressman Cooper and others. Do they feel the same way? Tennessee, obviously a big Trump supporter, as you talked about. Arkansas moving in the same kind of direction.
Yeah, I actually talked to Senator Blackburn about this. She's pretty hesitant to go along with the crowd that is for the federal government passing laws that, kind of free states up to do their thing. But she did kind of, maybe tacitly agree with the way that the Attorney General nominee, William Barr, said that it's an untenable situation. He doesn't like the federal-state discrepancies, but he's not going to go in heavy-handedly and start busting up pot dealers or grow shops in states like Colorado, Alaska, where it's legal. One interesting point that she did make, you talk a bit about this scheduling. Right now, obviously, marijuana is a Schedule I drug, and that actually prevents a lot of the research that the medical community wants to do and to look and see the different ways that it can be helpful. What Senator Blackburn supports is actually what they call a carve-out, which would basically be an FDA move to carve out that Section 1 listing explicitly for medical research. Theoretically, that would free up different research institutions across the country to do the kind of research that people that may not favor full legalization but are really interested in medical marijuana and the possibilities there would feel more comfortable with.
That's Drew Petrimoulx in Washington. Thanks for your insight.
Now, Drew, talking about this at a federal level, is there a push from anyone in Washington to change the schedule of marijuana?
That's one of the options that lawmakers are looking at here. There's also a bill that's been filed that would essentially say states can do what they want, basically codify what the Attorney General nominee recently said. But it's really kind of too early to see exactly how far these bills are going to go or how far Congress will be willing to go. But one of the things I wanted to point out that really struck me is interesting. You talk about Tennessee and whether or not it's ready to pass something like this. I was in Arkansas in 2016, during the 2016 election. The election turnout there ended up being 60% for Trump, 34% for Hillary Clinton. It was about the exact same thing in Tennessee, and in Arkansas, medical marijuana passed on that same ballot by about 7 points. So this is becoming more and more of an issue that even conservative states are starting to adopt. And as I was saying, as that happens, you see more of a drive from Washington to take action.
Thank you, Drew.